Vlog number 9. Hey guys, it's been a long time. It's been over a year since my last vlog. I'm sorry it's taken so long, but I finally managed to squeeze a little bit of time to do this. And first thing I want to say is just thanks for the people who have been subscribing over the months and leaving comments. I really do appreciate it. I've seen some, I guess, modest growth in that, and that's nice, especially considering I'm not one of those people who updates weekly, as you can tell. But I'll try to be a little more diligent, but this is more of a side thing, and although I do like to do it, it isn't my career or something like that. But I'll try to do at least a little more than every year. Anyway, so there's a lot of things I've been wanting to talk about, but since it's hard to find the time, let me address a couple things before I get into today's topic. With people asking me questions and leaving comments, first of all, I'm very sorry I haven't really been replying to them lately, mainly because I used to try to do so very diligently, but it takes up a lot of time actually. I can find myself just even answering a few questions will lead into, like, half an hour has already passed by, and I just couldn't keep up with that time commitment. And I'm not like one of these people who has a million subscribers or anything, but it was enough that it did take up quite a bit of time. The other reason is because some of these questions that are asked, I actually answer them in the other vlogs. Do try to take some time to look at those, and you'll hopefully find the answers you're looking for. So today's topic is specializing in versatility. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, when you look at concept artists and concept art in general, you can see that it's covering a wide range of ideas and genres and things like that. And I find that students sometimes get either ahead of themselves or lost, or both, because of trying to figure out what does that really entail. Now, when you just look at drawing in itself, there's so many things in the world to draw and to get better at, and understanding and perceiving these things and studying them, and then going from understanding them with what you see and what you observe with your mind and connecting that to what your hand is trying to do with muscle memory over and over with a pencil. That takes time to connect, and as many of you who've at least gone through fundamentals in drawing and foundations, that's really what that is you're trying to connect what you see and what you understand with what your hand is trying to do with the pencil or the tool. But now throw in the design element to it. With design and drawing, that already kind of adds a lot to what you're trying to progress in your skill set and your expertise. Say, for example, that you study human anatomy or life drawing, and you could do that every day and become progressively better at it and excellent at it, and yet that alone probably would be worth it, but it does take time. But when you look at some of these illustrators and animators and designers, I read somewhere once from another artist how basically to be a Disney animator, it goes without saying that you not only have to know anatomy, human anatomy extremely well, but also that of animals. That's a whole other kind of ball game, a whole other kind of category, and you could again spend countless hours on top of that just learning that. Now throw into the fold different body types, of course gender, but age categories, drawing the elderly to children to young people, and then adding to the mix things in case of entertainment, when we're talking about superheroes or fantasy and sci-fi, where you have these ideal body types, and then even taking that further to different styles. That again takes a lot of time and practice. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, even if you were just to focus on drawing alone, you could be extremely versatile in that one discipline, and there's never enough time. You always want more and need more practice in that range. As a concept artist, now you're throwing into the fold design ideas. So this is what I mean by it's a tricky balance, because you're trying to put your time into something that is valuable to you and where you may find gains in it, but also that you're interested in it, of course. And that takes some thought, even goal setting. But that's probably the reason why I haven't, after all these years, 15 plus years, 17 years or so, I haven't really dived into modeling, 3D modeling or anything like that. It's not because I'm not interested in it, it's partly because of two things: priorities and your main source of enjoyment or passion. And in my case, I've mentioned before countless times, is drawing. And at this stage of my life now, with other priorities pulling my way, from teaching to, of course, my family, wife, and kids are important, to my involvement in other things like church and volunteering, whatever it may be, you have to kind of pick and choose where you can put your time into things, because the more time you're putting into one thing means the less time you're putting into something else. And I think that's a worthy thing to discuss, but I'll maybe get into that in another video. Because of this, I find there's plenty to learn in drawing, and that's why I focus my attention where I can in that. And then, of course, throwing in designs and then that means studying and understanding genres on top of that. Just in that category alone, you can be so very diverse within that. Because if you think about all the subjects or categories to design and draw in, whether it's people or animals, and then characters that evolve from that, and then when you throw into the mix worlds and environments and buildings, machinery, vehicles, weapons, whatever they may be, and in the case of video games and entertainment, you're building worlds, you're creating worlds. So just think the time it takes to study things like people, drawing them, the time it takes to study things like architecture or buildings or landscapes, and how different rocks and different cultures and climates and all those things come together. And again, going back to cultures, that's a whole other thing as well. And so within that one discipline of drawing, there's a huge versatility, range of subjects to draw. Add in now design and concept. Again, within that one discipline, there's a huge spectrum of things to study and develop. And as a concept artist, it's tricky because you're trying to get better at your mechanical skills in terms of drawing expertise. And then on top of that, you're trying to progress in your ideas, or your idea and design process. So putting those two together, that's already a lot on anyone's plate. So within that, I would say, for those of you who are trying to decide between these things, it's one thing to decide between disciplines. I mean, yeah, there are people who excel in more than one discipline. You know, I have seen individuals who can do concept art very well, and who can do 3D modeling very well, and what have you. But the thing is, just realize, generally speaking, that means they're putting extra time into more than one discipline, which is taking time from other things. And that's fine, as long as you know why you're doing it and you accept the kind of results that come out of it. Okay? So if someone is spending hours upon hours every day drawing, or designing, or modeling, whatever, and they see the fruit of their labor, whether it's growth in their skills or job opportunities, then they deserve it, because they have earned it. Their merit, it shows that because of all the time they have sacrificed in doing these things. So in the same way, as you are analyzing what your goals are in terms of progress in your whether it's your getting better at drawing, or getting better at drawing a certain subject, getting better at designing, certain job opportunities, exposure or an audience, whatever it may be, then also be aware of your expectations and results, and be honest with them, right? And you want to be at a place where you're always growing, and have confidence, but never too proud to kind of have this sense of entitlement or expecting certain kind of results or accolades that others are getting. Generally speaking, I would say, even though there's different levels, of course, just like there are in music and sports, but everyone I would think would agree, for those who are really pursuing something and have done so and have made a career out of it, that it's ultimately through how much time and effort you put into it. Okay, it's possible to be versatile in multiple disciplines, like I said, but again, it's taking time away from other things. You can imagine that if I spend time now split between drawing and modeling, then that's another thing that I have to gauge. 5 hours of drawing and then 5 hours of modeling, that's 10 hours, which is quite a bit. Then you can kind of get a gauge about how your skill and understanding is growing within that context, as opposed to saying this person spent 10 hours in drawing alone, or that person spent 10 hours in modeling alone. Then again, they'll see benefits in that discipline, but in that one. So pick and choose, and you have to make choices that are both personal as well as practical, and they do sort of fluctuate and change along the way. But just realize that even just picking one discipline, there's a huge spectrum of growth and versatility, and it never ends. And I think that's partly why I love drawing and designing so much. Since the time I was a kid to the time in my late 20s finally deciding to go to art school, and to well into finally getting a career and now teaching and helping students to do the same. That kind of desire to draw, that hunger to draw that I've mentioned in previous vlogs has never ended. And I think part of it again is because there's always something new. There's always something you can evolve in or understand or grow in, whether it's in drawing or designing, whether it's a particular subject. It's just never ending, and I think that's part of the joy of it. So part of the reason I've been so busy is I've been, whenever I can have a chance to, I've been putting some work into a book I'm trying to put together. Hint, hint, there's some of the artwork. Anyway, it's called Cure and Prophecy. Maybe you've seen some of the teaser videos I've been putting out. And this is just something I'm slowly building up, and I'm hoping to, once it gets further on towards, maybe not the end of the year, hopefully not that long, but certainly within this year I hope. My goal is to put it up on Kickstarter, and I'll give you some more information in the months to come, but I hope you guys stay tuned and support it. Thanks. Peace.